Hello, everybody. Welcome to of the webinar that you can use to listen to again. Many times we need to listen to things more than just once. And you can also then share it with any loved ones or other people. And we'll also share with you the other dates that we'll be doing the next two sessions. So be sure to let others know that next week, Wednesday, the 24th, and the Wednesday after that, the 31st of August, this same webinar will be available. Over to you, Joni.
Thank you, and hi everybody. So we're inviting you to kick off those shoes, to sit back in your chair, and to literally be in the present moment. We'll be sharing practical ways to break up with sugar, starch, and stress tonight. So believe it or not, there are ways to kick these bad habits. And we know that these bad habits diminish our energy, our quality of life, and our general well-being. So let's get started and start with the first one around stress. Stress is something that all of us combat day in and day out, mainly because I think it's fair to say that we are time poor and stress rich as a whole worldwide. And when we talk about stress, there are many dimensions, but something that Celynn and I really like to speak about that's inextricably linked to stress is sleep. So the first action that you can take away to address stress tonight is to address your quality of sleep. So the stress habit is something that we get caught up in, and working these long hours and getting up really early. And of course, when you are stressed, your willpower goes out the window. So if you start to think about how many hours stress you need, that's funny, how many hours sleep you need, it becomes an important number in your life to be disciplined about on a daily basis. One of the latest bits of research that Tom Roth, the guy behind StrengthsFinder, has just published in his book Fully Charged, is that in America, the Harvard Medical School found out through their research that the American economy is losing 63, wait for it, $billion a year because of lack of sleep. So it's becoming a crisis worldwide. And of course, it affects every part of our life, every interaction we have, whether it be at home or at work. So the big question, how many hours of sleep should you have? We speak about a bell curve. On the left-hand side of the x-axis is 7 hours sleep minimum. Some of you are already probably rolling your eyes. On the right-hand side is 9 hours. So find your happy medium. Where is it? Is it 7.5 or is it 8? And be practical about what you can manage. But that should be the number that you guard very closely on a day-to-day basis to ensure that you boost your FAB quotient. Two other bits of research that we've come across, which are quite scary actually. If you lose 90 minutes of sleep a night, so it's quite easy to go to bed at midnight instead of your usual 10:30, your mental alertness the next day is reduced by at least a third. Now I don't know about you, but we all work in challenging times, I think, and we want to be completely mentally alert, so not be losing a third of our brain's cognition ability. The second little stat that really could give you, excuse the pun, a wake-up call, is that if you pull an all-nighter, so if you lose an entire night's sleep, you actually will be arriving at work the next day drunk. So how does that work out in terms of research? Well, the cognition ability is equivalent to having 0.19% alcohol in your bloodstream. So actually you are a bit foggy, a bit sluggish, and you certainly won't be as mentally alert as you'd like to be to solve those business problems and to think creatively about new solutions to some of your current business challenges. So sleep is a big thing. We also wanted to scare you a little more around lack of sleep and sleep deprivation, and that scary little hormone we want to speak about is ghrelin. It sounds very much to me like gremlin. That is a hormone that your body produces when you are sleep deprived. And when you're sleep deprived, you don't want to be looking like the guy staring into the fridge, because he is longing for some sugar or some starch, because that is exactly what ghrelin as a hormone does to your body, is it makes you crave sugar or starch. So make sure that you get those hours sleep, but not only the hours sleep, but the quality of sleep. And what we're finding really interesting is the number of authors out there who are focusing entire books on this subject. So we love the title of Arianna Huffington's latest book, The Sleep Revolution, transforming your life one night at a time. And that's what it does. So if you have the hours of sleep, you have certainly quantity, but you also need to think about addressing stress with quality of sleep. So here's a challenge that the teams that we are working with are finding particularly difficult to do. So see if you can crack this nut, because it will address your stress factors the next day. We are saying that if you have an hour's digital detox, the hour before you go to sleep at night, you will in fact have better quality of sleep. So your REM cycles will be deeper and longer, and you'll get into that kind of rhythmic sleep where you wake up refreshed and restored and clear-minded, and that's exactly what we do need. So let me just quickly dwell on what do we mean by an hour's digital detox. I bet many of you kiss your phones goodnight. It's the last thing you say goodnight to. You're on your iPads, and you could have the excuse of saying, hey, Joni, we love to kind of catch up with our friends around the world on Facebook and look at Snapchat and Instagram, etc., etc. We love to watch the Olympics in Rio at the moment, so we're watching a lot of TV. But any of these devices actually reduce your melatonin production in your body by about 20%, and we need melatonin. That produces that natural, deep, rhythmic kind of deep sleep that we need. So how could you go about the stress action number 2, the digital detox? Just very snappily, you could spend 20 minutes looking at the food that you're going to take to work the next day. What are you going to snack on? Because we know we need to snack for stamina. You could spend 20 minutes in the bath, really relaxing, a bit of lavender oil in that bath. That has quite an impact on your brain's chemistry as well, because it reduces a whole lot of tension. That certainly addresses stress in itself. And then here's a challenge. The last 20 minutes when you get into bed, this is a family show, so I'm going to go for the book option here. How about reading a novel? So not touching an electronic device, but tucking your nose into a good old-fashioned thriller, or perhaps even digging up some of the old books that you have around the special hobbies that you put aside because you can't manage your time and you are too stress-rich to even think about engaging in hobbies at this time in your life. So there we have it, already 2 actions to address stress. The third action we've titled Change Your Words, Change Your World. So what we are finding, and I certainly in the world of behavioral strategy, I'm finding that people linguistically hook onto words that don't serve them well. So this is what I hear most of the time. Hey, Joni, I'm stressed, I'm tired, I'm hectic, I'm overwhelmed, I can't get through my emails, I don't know how to cope, life is too difficult, the market's changing, and you can even hear by my tone of voice. Not only the words that we're using, but the tone and how we hardwire this in our brains really actually diminishes our ability to deal with challenge and stress. So we have an acronym, and the acronym is STAR. It stands for Stop, Think, and Rephrase. STAR, Stop, Think, and Rephrase. So if you become less reactive in your own turmoil of stress, and you become more responsive, you stop, take a breath, and you actually think, am I really that stressed? Or should I be saying no for this particular request that I have? Could I do this in less time? And is it okay to have it only 80% to the quality that I need? So the Stop, Think, and Rephrase, the STAR acronym, allows you to really reassess how you are dealing with that particular challenge at that point in time. And that is what we are giving you as a third action for dealing with stress. Here comes the very last action for dealing with stress, and it's motion shifts emotions. So here's a challenge. Get up, stand up, get out of your chairs, even if you're still in the office. I'm sure people don't mind you looking a bit weird. And I'm going to challenge you to 3 star jumps. So those gorgeous little kids lying in the snow are doing a snow angel. That little girl jumping at the beach is doing a star jump on the beach. You can do your own format of star jump. You don't have to get on your office floor by any means. But what about doing 3 star jumps and then thinking about the 3 actions we've given you? The time that you sleep, so quantity, the quality of your sleep, so looking at a digital detox, and whether you can reframe some of the language that you use to self-assess your day and your meetings, etc. So change your words, change your world. So in 3 star jumps, pick one of those actions. I'll do it with you. Here's 1, 2, 3. I know this is completely wacky, but you have just sent fresh oxygenated blood to your brain so that you can listen to Celynn's points on sugar and starch, because those are 2 big behavioral shifts that we all need to do in order to feel fabulous. So Celynn, over to you.
Thank you, Joni. And I'm smiling because I'm wondering how many of all of us here on the webinar actually got up off our chairs. And those of you that did, well done to you. So we need to consider how much sugar we consume. Why? Because sugar is prolific. It is in about 80% of all foodstuffs that we see on our shelves today. And excess sugar consumption has a significantly negative impact on not just our waistlines, but on our brains. So what do? If we need to find sugar because it's hidden, we need to be reading labels. So we need to become detectives and spies, and everything that we eat, we need to cast our eye onto the carton and the label if there is one. 2 places to start on the label. The first place is the list of ingredients. Sugar is not sugar is not sugar. So there's a variety of different names used for sugar on food labels. Some of them are obvious, like sugar, glucose. I'm sure you've heard of high fructose corn syrup, maybe caramel, but some of them are sneaky, and they could be things like honey. A lot of people think honey is healthy. Honey is just a form of processed sugar. Raw sugar is the same as sugar. Brown sugar is the same as sugar. And then there's other words like dextrose, maltose, maltodextrin. And so becoming more aware of all these different names for sugar, because manufacturers are certainly aware that people are trying to perhaps eat healthier and try and cover up by using these sneaky other words. And if you spot sugar or one of the names of sugar in the first 3 ingredients, understand that this is not a product that you should be eating every day, that if you have too much of it, it's going to negatively impact your brain and your energy. One way to make sense of how many or how much sugar is in a product is to convert the grams of sugar into teaspoons. And you do that by looking at the nutritional table, which will give an indication of the amount of grams of sugar. Let's say it says 30 grams of sugar per serving. You divide that by 4 or by 5. To be honest, I often use 5 grams simply because it's easier for my non-mathematical brain to make a quick calculation. So 30 grams of sugar would be about 6 teaspoons of sugar. The World Health Organization says that no adult should consume more than 30 grams or 6 teaspoons of sugar in total in a day. So because sugar is hidden in so many foods, we need to be really ruthless when it comes to cutting it out in the obvious places. One of the most obvious places are in the beverages, cold drinks, and hot drinks that we consume. So we need to be rethinking all our drinks. None of us should consume beverages that contain sugar because there is already so much hidden sugar in our foods. And when we consider that a single cold drink can contain sometimes 15, close to 20 teaspoons of sugar in an average serving in a restaurant or coffee shop or at the movies, this is really important. And once again, it's sometimes sneaky. So sugar in cold drinks is not just in the obvious places. It can sometimes be in beverages like flavored water, iced tea, energy drinks, many flavored coffees, or kid-focused drinks like flavored milk drinks. There's also a trend towards longevity and designing products that can boost our health and longevity. And many of them are beverages reinforced or reinvigorated with vitamins, with ingredients and superfoods like aloe vera. And sometimes we can overlook the fact that there's a lot of sugar in that product. So be sure to turn it around, look at the label, look at the list of ingredients to get an idea of how much sugar is there. And then all of us like a sweet thing. I know I do. I'm in Paris at the moment, and I can tell you it's hard to cycle past all that pâtisserie and not want to taste some. But I also know that I can't be having creme brulee every single day. So when I do want something sweet, and Joni does this too, is we turn to good quality products. Don't fall into the trap of buying sugar-free products or products that are made with alternative sugars that appear to be healthy, but actually end up being quite chemically processed and still stimulate hormones like insulin, which is not good for you. So rather go for fresh fruit, for small amounts of things like good quality chocolate. And we often take fresh fruit and make beautiful treats. So things like banana butter, where you can use a blender, Joni and I use our NutriBullets a lot to take frozen fruit like banana or berries, or I've often used pawpaw, and you mix that with some coconut milk or a little bit of cream, and you get this decadent, very similar to ice cream type of dessert. You can bake apples, for instance. In the images, you can see frozen grapes. They work really well as a hard-boiled sweet alternative, or you can pop them into your Merlot if you'd like to chill your red wine without adding ice cubes. That's what Celynn does on occasion. If you'd like more ideas like these, please make sure that you are getting our Fab Friday foodie recipes every Friday. If you're not on that list, be sure to let us know when you get the thank you email after this webinar, and we'd love to add you so you can get a Friday recipe every day that includes some of these sweet treats. And then this is a compulsory tip. We would love all of you to watch this movie. This movie changed Joni's life. It changed her daughter's lives. I watched it 3 times, and on the 3rd time, I picked up things that I had missed. So it's a great film. It's available on most channels, and it gives you great insight into how to manage sugar and the impact that it's having on our well-being. We can't just talk about sugar, though. We need to also consider other foods that have a similar impact to sugar on our bodies and our brains. And that group of foods is what Joni and I refer to as starch, but in particular, refined starch. So refined starch are foods that are refined or processed that generally lack fiber, lack nutrients like vitamins and minerals. And what they do is when we eat them, they give us a temporary feeling of feeling full, but actually they drop our energy physically, mentally, and emotionally. They promote fat storage because they stimulate hormones like insulin, and they worsen the stress response because they spike us. They cause excess production of cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and then we end up becoming a sugar junkie, looking for more sugar and for more refined starch. So Joni and I are seeing this pattern a lot. Many people are getting up in the morning and grabbing a starchy breakfast. Sometimes it's perceived as healthy. It could be a healthy cereal or a whole wheat toast, but it's still starch-based. We then have back-to-back meetings, which means back-to-back cups of coffee, maybe a handful of biscuits in the boardrooms, because that's what we find at the workplace. Maybe we have a lunch, which is often a convenient food like a sandwich. If you skip lunch, you're definitely going to look for a snack in the afternoon, and that's possibly going to be high in sugar or high in starch. And then by the time you get home and you finally relax, you end up eating far more than your body actually needs. And after dinner, you may end up wanting something sweet. So that's when the slab of chocolate comes out or some other sweet treat. And so what? What is this pattern of eating having on your well-being? Well, we know that it's having a disastrous effect on your blood glucose levels. Your blood glucose is your source of energy. It's your petrol. It's the only way that you can function as a human being. When your blood sugar drops or goes too high, it doesn't serve you. And in this case, what happens is your blood glucose is going to roller coaster. It will dip and spike with lots of variation in between, taking you out of what we call the performance zone. So if you want to stay in high performance mode, you need to stabilize your blood glucose, period. And the way to do that is to choose foods that are not going to cause the spikes and to avoid those deep drops that really give you brain fog and increase cravings. So one way to do that is to support yourself physically, emotionally, and mentally by making better choices. A place to start is to choose starches or carbohydrate foods that are what we call low GI. So I know that we have some attendees based in the US, and welcome to you. And those of us from South Africa, in South Africa, there's a lot of products. Almost all of our breads, for instance, are labeled with the glycemic index, the GI. And when you spot the GI, choose foods that are low glycemic index. That generally implies that they will digest slowly and that they have more fiber and will keep you energized for longer by stabilizing your blood glucose. So are there good carbs? Are there bad carbs? Absolutely. So what we say is when you are choosing starches or carbohydrates, we certainly do not promote that you need to be cutting out this food group. You just need to make better, smarter choices and smarter swaps. So for instance, cool carbohydrates. Let's say you were choosing potato. Instead of having regular potato, to choose sweet potato because it has more fiber would be better. Instead of having Fruit Loops or a processed refined cereal, to choose a cereal like oats or Birch's muesli, to make sure that you eat things like legumes and split peas instead of just having pasta. So those are simple swaps to choose cool carbohydrates. And then the second point, which we go into a lot of detail in our workshops, and we've also written a section about in our book, is to eat like an artist. So no, not to eat M&Ms and jelly tots and wine guns, but to eat colorful foods from nature. Those would be vegetables, would be salads, and would be fruits. So generally, the more colorful foods are, the more variety and nutrients they have, and the better they are for us. So if you want to manage your starch intake, is to use these two golden rules. Choose cool carbs. Cool carbs are low GI and high in fiber. And choose colorful foods. Those are generally your fresh produce. And that can help you to sustain your chemistry. Why is this important? Why consider sugar? Why consider starch? Why consider the quality of your food? Because when you eat good food, that good food gets digested into molecules, into raw material. That is what drives your hormones in your body, and your hormones drive your emotions, and your emotions will drive your performance. So what you're looking at the moment on the screen is a dopamine molecule, which is only available in your brain if you've got enough magnesium, and a very important mineral. And that is being carried along a myelin sheath, which is a brain neuron, with an endorphin filament. So what this image shows us, not only is it gorgeous because it's happiness in action, and thanks to Raymond who helped us source this image, but it shows us that for us to feel happy, to support our body chemistry, we need to have the right ingredients in our body. Over to you, Joni.
Yes, so the happiness in action is what we're looking for. And when we're sitting chatting together like this, it all sounds fantastic. But many of us need a nudge. We can't do this kind of thing on our own. We need to do it in community. Don't you love that little GIF motion picture there of her nudging him and him nudging her? How can we nudge each other? Well, if you've got a buddy, please think about budding up, because research shows that if you do have a buddy, they will help you survive the really difficult times or the turbulent times where we're inclined to go off the rails. If you don't have a buddy, or if you just feel like working with Celynn and I, we have an option for this. Yep, we do. So we can help you keep your promise to yourself, your promise to reduce your sugar, to reduce those refined starches and those breads. And most importantly, all of this has an impact as well on your stress, so that you can be productive, innovative, and solve problems in a different way to what you're used to doing. So here's how we do it. You can join us for 21 days. We are starting on the 1st of September for obvious reasons, Spring Day, and we'll be continuing with you till the 21st of September. So what do you get if you join us in this Dear Sugar, Starch and Stress Let's Break Up campaign? First of all, you get a 2-minute video, and we've made these short and punchy, as is the want within our culture of the fab quotient, because we are all-time poor. So you watch this video, or you could actually download it in terms of an audio file, so listen to it as you're driving to work. The video stroke audio will be about one aspect, so we have really chunked this down into tiny habits: an aspect about sugar, or an aspect about starch, or an aspect about stress. Because we find if we give you a little bit of research around one of those particular dimensions, you'll be able to adapt and adopt it within your daily life, as opposed to being overwhelmed by everything that we need to and should be doing. And then once you've spent 2 minutes on that, you could read the one-page overview. And we find people often print that, put it next to their computer screen, or put it in their diaries, or even on their dashboard in their car. And then the last minute is to actually anchor this within your own lifestyle. And people seem to do this really well by using one of the online platforms. So post about it. We will be speaking about this on our Facebook site. You can see on the screen there the daily nudges. You can join Resilient Energy Center, Facebook. Please note that center we spell the American way, T-E-R, and hear about what some other people are doing with their 21-day campaign. Plus, we will be giving you other info and some funky videos to watch, just to really stretch you and enable you to stick to this 21-day campaign. we all know whether it's any addiction, it could be alcohol, drugs, and we're not dealing, I'm sure, with people who have those addictions. But if there's anything that you want to shift, it takes consistent application the same time each day for a period of 21 days. So you want to honor yourself, and there's no better way to do it than when you're doing it, as we said, within a community, and you're doing it consistently for 21 days. We normally sell this program for, wait for it, $19, which in itself is really not a hectic price to pay for all the videos and the downloads. But we've decided with our webinars to actually give you, it's a Women's Month, and I know there are men listening, but to do a kind of a Women's Month giveaway. So for the next 24 hours, this particular 21-day breakup campaign will be only $9.99. And we're going to be pretty strict. So by 6 p.m. South African time tomorrow night, that will resort back to the $19 price. But you do have a first, wait for it, the little fun jab bite at this. So feel free to register. Do not now. There's no time like the present. So act now while you're thinking about your particular lifestyle changes. It's not going to break the bank, and you are going to have a real fab family around you to go the journey for the 21 days. Celynn, so what now? What?
Thank you, Joni. You've invested the energy and the time to be here with us for half an hour. What are you going to commit to from doing this? And we don't want you to commit to everything that we spoke about. What we would like you to do is in the comment section, jot down what is the one thing that you're going to take away from after listening to us. Under stress, we spoke about focusing on sleep and getting between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. Are you going to consider the 1 hour digital detox before going to bed? Are you going to think about what kind of words you use? Because changing your words can change your life. Or maybe you're going to activate more often, even if it is doing skipping or star jumps every half an hour or so. And then under sugar, are you going to read labels? Are there any drinks that you can rethink? Could you make some smart swaps and start experimenting using the Fab Friday foodie recipes? Are you going to consider watching that sugar film? And then under starch, we took a look at choosing cool carbs, not the uncool carbs, and incorporating a lot more color into our diet, which can give us all the ingredients that we need to support our body chemistry. So what is something that's resonated with you that you feel, hey, that's got my attention, I could do that? We'd love to hear from you and know what that thing is. And by writing it down, you also rewire that. Then the second thing, whether you're going to change something or not, if you think you need some nudging, we would love the opportunity to do that with you. Joni and I are going to be doing the 21-day Fab Focus from the 1st of September. Please join us on the program. So follow the link in the email that you'll get. If we are not fast enough and you want to email us right away, the email address is up on the screen and you can send us a note. We'd love to hear from you. In fact, because this is the first time us delivering a 30-minute webinar, we would love your input. Is half an hour a good time? Is it too short? Is it too long? Also, the time that we've chosen. So we thought 5:30 to 6 is a good time so that you can miss traffic before heading out to the office. But maybe another time would suit you. So when you send us an email to find out about the 21-day campaign, won't you give us some feedback? We really would appreciate that. And remember, you're welcome to join us next week, Wednesday, or the week after. We need as many people to hear this message as possible, so feel free to not only tell people and invite them to the webinar, but to also share the recording. We'd really welcome you to do that. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, and I hope that you're going to go pour yourself a glass of sparkling water and share with your family, your loved ones, and your pets what you've learned this evening. Thank you. Thank you, Joni.
Thank you, Celynn, and we look forward to your feedback, and we look forward to the journey with you from the 1st to the 21st of September. Act now and get it done.